The special meeting of March 1st, 2022 to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Where's the flag? Where's the flag? Over there. Over there. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Sean Douglas.
Here.
Michelle Hayes.
Here.
Ryan Horvath.
Here.
Gene Sensi.
Here.
Jeff Thompson. Here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Ryan Horvath.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
We'll have our first public participation portion. Each person who is addressing the board will have 5 minutes. We would remind you to please address the board, not the audience. And the first is Daisy Moles.
Good evening. So I'm just going to get right into it. First and foremost, I will be making statements, not questions. So until I'm finished speaking, there's no need or requirement for anyone else to speak. I am one of the people and not subject to the rules and regulations of your board. So time limits mean nothing to me or anyone else speaking. And I assure you, not hearing what I have to say will be extremely detrimental to both your office and you individually. So let's explain how things actually work, which from my research, none of you appear to know. Let's talk about the law. Ohio Revised Code 3.30. Except as otherwise provided in Section 3.061 of the Revised Code, a person elected or appointed to an office who is required by law to give a bond or security previous to their performance of the duties imposed on the person by the person's office who refuses or neglects to give such bond or furnish such security within the time and in the manner prescribed by law, and in all respects to qualify self for the performance of such duties, is determined to have refused to accept the office to which the person was elected or appointed. Such office shall be considered vacant and shall be filled as provided by law. Ohio Revised Code on Oaths and Bonds requires a current oath of office and surety bond. It is 3.24 ORV 3.061, requires a dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policy in lieu of bond. You folks are bonded under this code. Your bonds are faithful performance and honesty bonds. Allow me to explain what this means. A public official is a type of surety bond that serves as a statutory obligation requiring faithful performance, fidelity, and integrity of a public official's duties to the public. This bond is one of the oldest forms of written guarantee that requires persons to obtain to qualify for office. In 1792, Congress passed an act that the office of the paymaster shall give bond in the sum of $20,000 with 2 sufficient sureties for the faithful discharge of duties. Depending on the statutes of a specific jurisdiction, public official bonds may be faithful performance bonds, fidelity bonds, public employee dishonesty bonds, or public employee blanket bonds. Allow me to clarify what this all means. You folks are bonded. You're carrying individual liability insurance. So in your acting capacity as a public official, if you cause wrong or harm, we, the people, have a recourse and can hold you accountable and do not have to wait for the next election. So let's visit another law in this state, Ohio Revised Code 3.07. Any person holding office in this state or in any municipal corporation, county, or subdivision thereof, coming within the official classification in Section 38 of Article 2, Ohio Constitution, who willfully and flagrantly exercises authority or power not authorized by law, refuses or willfully neglects to enforce the law or to perform any official duty imposed upon him by law, or is guilty of gross neglect of duty, gross immortality, drunkenness, misfeasance, malfeasance, or nonfeasance, is guilty of misconduct in office. Upon complaint and hearing in the manner provided for in sections 3.07 to 3.10, inclusive of the revised code, such person shall have judgment forfeit of said office with all its emoluments entered thereon against him, creating thereby in said office a vacancy to be filled as prescribed by law. The proceedings provided for in such elections are in addition to impeachment and other methods of removal authorized by law. And such sections do not divest the governor of any authority or the jurisdiction given in removal proceedings. The men that wrote the magnificent documents that created this country saw that the government of any form was inherently evil and would always be. So they put the power of the individual to work and set in place safeguards for our protection. We will be using them if you continue down this path. Furthermore, I would like to inform you of 2 federal criminal laws you are violating. 18 U.S.C. 241, conspiracy against rights. If 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise of enjoyment of any right or secured to him by the constitutional laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, they shall be fined under this
Time has
title.
expired.
I'll keep going. They shall be fined
please
under this
mute the
title
mic?
or imprisoned no more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or any attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned by any terms of years or for life or both, or maybe 18 U.S.C. 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Whoever, under color of law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution of laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, or penalties. The penalties for these
Okay.
crimes are federal felonies and include 10
Our meeting will temporarily adjourn.
federal prison. I have written claims against your bonds, and I will personally, can we serve them now?
The speaker refused to stop talking, and then we paused the meeting, and she continued to rant and rave for about 20 minutes. So the police have removed the speaker, and we'll now continue with our public participation portion. Kelly Reese had asked to speak. All right, it appears she's gone. So we will continue with the meeting, and we'll move on to board member reports. Is there anyone wishing to give a report tonight?
I do have a question for Mike. Could you explain to us about the surety bonds and stuff? Since being a new member, I just want to make sure that I totally understand the surety bonds, and if we need them or we do not need them. If you can explain that to us, I appreciate it.
Sure. So when this issue first started becoming a hot topic of public records requests for not only us, but for a lot of school districts in this area in the state of Ohio, I confirm that the district does not need a surety bond. A surety bond is a financial protection against the wrongdoing of the treasurer, and under the Ohio law, only the treasurer needed a surety bond. Back in 2020, the law changed where you now could be covered under the district's, you would have the same protection under the district's liability insurance as a surety bond would provide, and it saves the cost of the surety bond. The individual board members are not required to have a surety bond, nor is the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, or anybody else. like the board, are covered under the liability insurance for errors and omissions, directors and officers. All of that insurance covers every member of every school employee, including the board, against wrongdoing. The other comments that were made about the oath of office were, and when Daisy had brought up the fact that they weren't notarized, signed by a judge, or witnessed by a second party, I informed her that Ohio Revised Code, I think I've got it, hold on, that the Ohio Revised Code dealing with oaths of office for school board of education members, it is very specific that the treasurer or another elected official can give it, but it is silent as to notarization, witnessed, or signed by a judge. I confirmed all that with the board's attorney. I confirmed the surety information with the board attorney and the district's insurance agent, and everything that I've just told you has been confirmed by them. So the district is protected against any wrongdoing by the board. There is no such thing as a surety bond for a Board of Education member, nor is there a requirement that your Board of Education oath be notarized, witnessed by a second party, or given by a judge.
And I would just like to say, is this on? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, closer.
Okay. I would just like to say that our treasurer did already have that conversation with Ms. Moles and explained all of that to her. So she is very much aware of all of that, yet she still chose to come and make a scene this evening. Sadly, we allow public participation as a board. We've always done so for as long as I've been on the board, which has been, what, 12 years? Mm-hmm. We've always allowed public participation. It is not something that Ohio requires us to do. We've always done that, but we do put a limit on it of 5 minutes, and we expect that the public is going to be respectful of that limit and respectful of the board as well. So unfortunately, that didn't happen tonight. I really hope that going forward that we can continue to have public participation and yet have it, limited and respected, and we can continue with our board business.
Anyone else wishing to give a report? I want to talk briefly about something going on at Auburn Career Center. Our board recently learned that Auburn had a change to their admissions practices, and basically they removed any merit-based criteria as to who they accept into their competitive programs. So for instance, things that they used to consider would be your grade point average, your attendance at school, references from your recommendations from teachers, those sort of things that are merit-based. So typically cosmetology and welding are two programs that tend to be very competitive at Auburn. So we're now likely to see less qualified candidates entering the welding program and the cosmetology program than more qualified candidates in certain circumstances. And this is really just an effort to have equity, which is certainly not something I support. Equality of opportunity to get into the program should be afforded all candidates, but not equity of outcome. That just leads to less qualified candidates overall in the pool, and that's not good for Auburn. It's not good for the welding program or the cosmetology program or for any of the employers who will inherit that group of students. So I wrote a letter this week to Auburn Career Center basically saying that, and I sent it to their board and their superintendent and told them that we'd like a more participatory process, being one of the districts that feed into Auburn, so that we would have some input into their eventual decision. We recognize it's Auburn Career Center's authority to do that, but they sought no input from us, and I wasn't very happy about it. So that concludes my board member report. Anyone else? Reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Only one thing, the Ohio Revised Code that governs the oaths of office for a board member, a Board of Education member, is 3313.10. That's it.
Okay.
And then on, what is it, March 12th, the Gridiron Club is going to be putting on the reverse raffle, so just a plug for those guys. So if you need tickets, see Mike Gilligan or go on Facebook.
Where's it going to be at?
It's in Willoughby.
It's at Lavera, I think.
It's in Willoughby.
Yeah, Lavera Party Center.
Yeah. But it'll be a good time, so.
All right, so you don't have any other thing, Mike?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, recommendations of the superintendent.
Well, I have a couple brief things. First, the March 15th meeting, if we could entertain the possibility of moving that time up again, only because they rescheduled National Honor Society induction, and I typically go and give remarks, and that starts at 7. So even if we did a 5:30 meeting and I could be out of here by 6:30, 6:45, I can be there to, give the remarks. It's something I do look forward to every year. Last year was the 40th anniversary of my own induction into National Honor Society. So I like to go and support the kids being inducted. Today I did hear a webinar on the Fair School Funding Plan. They did regional meetings all over the state, and the last one was a Zoom meeting plus an in-person meeting. And the big thing is that it's going to take everybody to continue to talk to our legislatures about the importance of what this plan has done to fund schools adequately in the state of Ohio. The conversations are beginning in other areas within the legislature saying that, they can come up with another plan. And Mike and I have both been through, I can't tell you how many plans in our time together here, but this seems to be the one that will fund schools in the most fair and appropriate way for all students in the state of Ohio. So, and I did a couple weeks ago invite our legislatures to come to our buildings. I sent out a reminder call today, and if I don't hear from them by the end of the week, I've asked Jeff to reach out through his contacts to get these meetings scheduled to have our Senator Serino and Representative Callender to come and see all the great things that are happening in our school each and every day. So, Dave?
I have no report this evening.
All right, ready for my recommendations then?
Yes?
All right, we're asking you on the personnel motion tonight to accept the resignation of Nick Riley, Madison High School freshman baseball coach, effective February 21st, 2022, to enter into the following employment contracts, the following substitute teachers as approved by the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve and/or the Madison Local School District's superintendent under a one-year limited substitute teacher contract for the 2021-22 school year. Dylan Kamash, Sarah Lashley, Brittany Merkley. The following is persons as casual day-to-day substitutes at the board-approved rate of compensation for the 2021-22 school year. Aaron Brininger, Michaela Butz, Mackenzie Sundquist. We're asking you to approve Marilyn Crane as a building sub effective March 16th, 2022 through April 27th, 2022, and then to adjust Asia Rendek's employment under a long-term substitute teacher contract from March 16th, 2022 through April 27th, 2022 to perform the duties of Norma Wright. To employ Kimberly Pauley under a one-year limited contract as an educational assistant cafeteria at Madison Middle School effective February 18th, 2022. And that is the personnel motion this evening.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And next item is to continue the policy of interdistrict and intradistrict open enrollment pursuant to board policies 5113 and 5113.01.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And next item is to approve the early graduation request of Melanie Hybrar to graduate with the class of 2022 in accordance with Board Policy 5464.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And then item D is to the resolution recognizing and honoring students selected for the Madison chapter of the National Honor Society. We will add the names to this resolution once all the students have been notified on March 15th.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And we're asking you to adopt the following board policy revision, 5460 graduation requirements, and those reflect the changes that I talked about at the last board meeting.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And the next item is graduation seals, and this motion will authorize the use of graduation seals from Auburn Career Center to be used for Madison High School students that attend Auburn.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And there's nothing on the consent calendar, so that ends my recommendations this evening.
Do we have a need for executive session?
I don't have one.
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
think we're good.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.